rolling. So we're managing attention. I hear whispers, communicating with respect, not verbally. She's texting, finding friendly eyes. You're in the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, I'm Ziray.
Hi, Ziray.
It's very nice to stand here showing my favorite movies to all of you. And first I want to ask a question. Do you like watching comedies? If the answer is yes, I think you must know the Sir Chaplin, one of the most famous comedian in the world. And what I want to introduce the guy today is not Chaplin, but he is called the Chinese Chaplin by the Time magazine. His name is Stephen Chow, and he is one of the most famous and achievable actor and director in China. And well, but before he jumped to fame, he really suffered a lot in his career, and he even worked as a work-on for nearly 10 years. And the movie I want to share with you today, it can always be regarded as half of his autobiography. Well, so this movie is very famous and high valued by people, and I think there are three feelings the movie gives me. The first one is the movie made me feel very touched. Well, the incident in this movie made me feel touched is when the two main actors, the Tian Chou and the Piao Piao, when the Tian Chou make a promise to Piao Piao that he will support her living forever. Because at that time, Tian Chou is just a work-on and Piao Piao is a prostitute. And Tian Chou wants Piao Piao to quit his job, her job, and so he made the promise he will supporting her living. Piao Piao was moved, and to make this promise, to commit this promise, Tian Chou even gave up a very valuable chance in his acting career. Well, this incident reminded me of my parents. My mom and my dad, when they planned to marry, my dad promised to my mom that he will make my mom happy as the rest of her life, and actually my dad did it. And so my mom and dad are very happy till now, and sometimes I even feel a little jealous of them because they are so happy. And so what I want to focus on this movie plot is that there is nothing about the choice between the career and the love for Tian Chou. I think it's the matter of the promise. It's very important for a man to commit his promise, and I think that's why this Tian Chou, this character, is so attractive to me in this movie, even though he's just ordinary people. Well, the second thing that I want to refer to is the movie makes me feel very encouraged. The movie encouraged me even from the beginning. The Tian Chou stand towards the world, towards the sea, and shouted, "Work harder and keep going." That's what he did through the whole movie. He struggled for his acting dream and never gave up. And even what he did is just work as a work-on. And particularly when people laughed at him, said, "Look, he's just a work-on, and can he be regarded as an actor?" The Tian Chou will be very seriously and replied, "Yes, actually I am an actor." That's what moved me, because he believed he is an actor, and that's what he did. He tried all his best to fulfill his dream and to approach his goal. And this reminded me of my dream. I dreamed of starting my business since I was very young, but actually I always feel confused about this dream because I think this destination seems to live so far away from me. And so I even gave up a chance to study business in China, and instead I chose to went to Singapore to study engineering, which makes me actually a little sad. Well, but when I watch these movies, I really encouraged by Tian Chou because he's such stuck to his dream, and that make me feel no matter what difficulties I met, I should stick to my dream and never give up unless my dream is not my dream anymore. But actually, it is now, so I should keep going on. Well, the third feelings this movie made me feel is, I think it made me feel a little regretful. Actually, at the end of this movie, Tian Chou still cannot be a famous actor as he wanted, and it's really made me upset because the guys like Tian Chou, he is such working hard, and he's just talent actors, and with a very clearly objective for his life. But even though he did not be successful, so it's really sad about his life. But somebody will say it's just a movie, but actually in reality will be more cruel than movies. There are so many people had the dream to be a famous actors, but how many of them can be successful? Not all the people can be so lucky that the actor Stephen Chow to be the comedy of king in China and be so famous in among people. So that's really make me think a lot. That is the destiny, or that is just about the individual choices? Well, I have to say I have to mention my best friend in my high school in this case, because it was her to ask me to apply the scholarship program to Singapore together, and so we applied this program together. But however, I passed all the tests, he failed at the last interviewing part. It's really a pity because I can feel she is she is really wanted to get this chance to study abroad, not like me. I just heard it's a good chance, and I think it's a good opportunity to get a better study environment. But we have no choice, so I went to Singapore to study engineering, and my friend had to stay in China, and 1 year later he entered good colleges to major in business. That's what exactly I want to study. So look, that's the life. Life is like a movie, as movie always comes from life. Well, in summary, I love these movies because these movies give me so much different feelings, and the characters in this movie, and both the characters in this movie and the actors, Stephen Chow in these movies, are inspiring me a lot. Well, I want to end my presentation with a movie line in these movies, that is when the dark will become the cynic when the dawn is coming. So I think that's what exactly Stephen Chow wants to deliver to us. That is an optimistic attitude towards the life. Yes, that's all my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's start in the front. Yes, please.
Hi, Gabi.
Hi, Gabi.
I really liked your speech and the way you connected with the movie, and especially the personal examples that you related to the movie. I thought they made sense, and they were pretty personal and interesting.
Good personal examples. Improvement.
I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
I liked your speech too. It was really personal, but you had a little bit of too many details that I didn't think were really super important sometimes, but then you had some that were really good too.
Right. Let's talk about that. You were wordy. You were excessively wordy. I didn't start the timer, but I think you went about, maybe 6-7 minutes. And you want to be more succinct, say, and get right to the point. And where you cut, where you edit, is on the film plot. We didn't need to know all the ins and outs of it. One sentence would be enough. Just, he did this. This reminds me of my friend. So you get to spend more time on your story. See? When you have your preview, have all three. Say it moved me, encouraged me, it made me feel regretful. So say all three in your preview. I like your story of the friend that I like the first story where you admitted that you're sad that you're studying engineering in Singapore, and that was a good admission and good communication of feelings, and that was authentic and real. I like that. Now, on your third story of your friend that didn't interview very well and got rejected, that was a good story, and it turns out she stayed in China and went to biz school and lived happily ever after, I guess. So you were kind of saying that was kind of ironic because that's what I wanted to do, right? And you got suckered into trying out for engineering school in Singapore. Your conclusion and tie back were all good. The only thing I would just say is you were just a bit long. And so you want to work on your word economy so that you're much more succinct, okay? But overall, you did a nice job. Thank you. Is this table showing up in the picture?
No.
Top of this now. Are you next in the row?
Yeah.
You're back there? I'm back. Hi, how you doing today?
Good.
Okay.
Hi everyone.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I'm Julia.
Wait. I gotta check your audience. Okay.
Hi everyone. I'm Julia.
Hi, Julia.
Hi. Before I start, I want to share you part of a song. Do you want to build a snowman? Come on, let's go and play. I never see you anymore. Come out the door, it's like you've gone away. We used to be best buddies, and now we're not. I wish you could tell me why. Do you want to build a snowman? It doesn't have to be a snowman. Have you heard of this song?
No.
Well, let me show you another song. Well, I believe you must heard of this song. Yeah, it is Let It Go from Frozen. I like cartoons very much, like Madagascar, Wall-E, Monster Universities, etc. And Frozen is one of my best cartoons. It is not like the usual Disney prince and princess cartoons. It's not the prince and princess have a happy ending story, but a story between sister princess. This movie moved me because it makes me happy and makes me to think and also makes me to be brave. Well, this movie makes me happy because of one of the roles in the movie. The Olive, a snowman in this film. He's so cute and he likes the sunshine and he likes the warm heart, although he's a snowman. And it reminds me of my dreams when I was a little girl. I always dreamed that I am a princess. And my father and mother are the king and queen. They hid in the city because of some secret reasons. And one day, they will tell the whole world the truth, and I could live a life of a princess. And I always dress like a princess and wear the blanket and pretend that my people were in front of me. But as I grew up, I found that it's not true. I am just a normal person. Yeah. And this film reminds me of that happy times when I was young. Everybody has his or impossible dreams, and that dreams always makes you to be happy, and that's also the Frozen movie brings to me. And this film also makes me to think. As I've said, the movie is not a story between prince and princess. It's the story between two princesses. Anna's brave and her love for her sister saved her sister's life and also herself. When mentioned love, people will always think it's between Valentines, but the love between sisters are also very great. As I am the only child of my family, so I don't have sisters, but I have friends, best friends from middle school. They were just like my sisters. When I was at middle school, we have a lot of exams. And people always said the exams are very important. It will affect your future. Then we took the exams seriously. And because I'm work hard, so I can get good results. But after one monthly exam, I've got my result was very bad, and it was like the world is falling down, and I'm so sad. Sadness, fears all came to me, and I could not help to cry. I hid in the small corner and watching people laugh and felt that I am abandoned by the world. At that time, my friend came to me. She gave me a warm hug and comforted me with soft voices. It feels like the sunshine. It feels like her warm hugs just like the sunshine, and I was moved at that moment. And I know that she also haven't done well in that exam, but she still came to comfort me. And I was so happy, and my mood became better. And from that time, I think that love is not only between Valentines, but also between sisters, friends. That's all. That's the movie makes me moved. And the movie also moved me because it makes me to be brave. When I was at primary school, I used to attend a storytelling speech. And I represent my classmates. I prepared a lot, and I practiced. I thought I could do well, but once I stood in the stage and facing all my schoolmates, I felt so nervous that I found that my mind was blank. Nothing left in my mind. Although I practiced again and again, I still cannot remember anything. I just stood there, saying nothing, and became very, very nervous. And of course, I lost in that exam, in that contest. But my teacher came to me after the contest, and she encouraged me and told me to be more brave instead of ban me of losing. I was so moved that I decided to be more brave. So I practiced and practiced after I go home. try to be more brave. Well, and after I went to middle school, I got another chance to make a speech. And because I've practiced a lot at home, so I'm getting better this time, and I succeed. And in the film Frozen, Elsa is afraid of her power, and she locked herself in a frozen castle and refused to control his kingdom. But finally, she overcome her fear for her power and start to control the kingdom and became a good queen. Her brave also reminds me of my time when I was at primary school. So that's also why the movie moved me. So this film Frozen moved me in 3 ways. It makes me to be happy, it makes me to think, and it makes me to be brave. I recommend you to see the movie Frozen. It is not like the other Disney cartoons. It is very good. It is amazing, and I hope you to think about something after watching the movie. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay. That was 9 minutes and 1 second. So it was double the time. Have you spoken?
I have not.
Okay, here, I'll take over.
Hi, I'm Marie.
Hi, Marie.
I liked your speech, and I liked the 3 different points you made about how it made you feel, and I thought the story is going along really well. I would just make it a little less wordy.
Yeah, briefer. Yes, improvement.
Hi, Bella.
Hi, Bella.
I also think you did a good job, but yeah, the only thing that you may want to improve is that it was a little long, so it was easy to like lose interest in between, or yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Julia, you chose a good movie. You had quite a long introduction. I timed it. It was 1:44 until you got to your thesis preview, almost halfway through the speech. So much of that intro could have been cut out or cut down, and that would have helped you. You told good stories when you finally got to them. You didn't need to have all the plot summary of the film in there. You could have edited that out. And you talked about the monthly exam where you didn't do well and you went in the corner and cried. That was a good story. And then your friend came and rescued you and put her arm around you and made you feel better. And that was a good story. And I like that. On the story of Brave and you having stage fright, that was a perfect story for this class. A little less time in setting it up and just what happened to you and that you blanked out and you kind of ran off the stage or that sort of thing, but your teacher encouraged you and that was good. On the, and so those stories were good, they were just too long. You started with singing and playing your Apple telephone. Why not bookend and sing at the end? So we have come the full circle, see? That would have been a perfect tie back. You were singing a children's song, right? That's what you were singing before you put your telephone on, right? Yeah. So you could have sang that again and that would have been perfect bookends. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Julia. Okay, how's that back row coming? You ready to go? Yeah, okay, good. Have a little change of pace here. So I take it we didn't have any mini recorders kicking around in the drawers, huh?
Yeah, but Thursday.
Thursday?
We have to order it.
Wednesday.
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 We have to order it.
Perfect.
Like 4 hours. It's like a 4-hour recording.
Okay, 4 hours, that's better. Okay. He's managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name is Scotty.
Hi, Scotty.
So in 1989, I enrolled at Brown University. I was 16 years old and I went to play lacrosse. And in 1989, people thought it was actually a good idea to send a young, rambunctious person to college. Well, it was not. The pathway to heaven leads straight through hell. I don't know where I heard that, and I don't know who said it, but never has a quotation been more applicable to a person than that one to me. My name is Scotty Abrams, and I don't have a partner, so I will be introducing myself. Now, ironically, the last time I was in this class was in 1995, and the same assignment was offered. And my partner dropped the class about 6 hours before the speech. So I was forced to give both parts by myself. And Professor Miller, who has mellowed over the years, used to use the catchphrase after each speech, "Help him grow." Well, let's just say there was a great deal of room for growth. So I'm hoping that I have improved over the last 19 years. I am going to give you a story about my past, offer you some insight into where I am right now, and then a look into my future aspirations. So after Brown, I didn't last there very long, and I was in a therapeutic boarding school in Lake Arrowhead. So after which, I was there for 2.5 years, and after I enrolled at UCLA. I lived in Laguna and commuted up to school, and I was studying to be a psychiatrist. I had never met a good psychiatrist, so I just figured I would grow my own. On one of the rides from UCLA to Laguna, I got off at Marina Del Rey to get gas. And in one of the lots, there was this 1991 Harley-Davidson Fat Boy. It was white with the words "White Satan" painted on the back in red. Now, ironically, growing up, I had a nanny from Barbados who used to actually call me White Satan. So it was interesting to see that painted on the back of the motorcycle, and I decided I wanted to buy it. And my parents had told me that if I ever got a motorcycle, they would no longer be my parents. So I just took that to mean that they weren't going to buy it for me. So I decided I was going to get a job and earn the money to buy the motorcycle. About a week later, I was at a Laker game when they still played at the Forum, which was a very long time ago. And I was sitting next to a prominent music manager that was friendly with the person who I was with. And he took a liking to me over the course of a few hours, and he offered me a job. And I thought that that would be a great way to save money for the motorcycle. I was like an assistant to his third assistant, and he was a very prominent music manager. He managed the Eagles and Steely Dan, and he ran a big record label. And I was terrible at the job, but I was very proficient at dating his daughter. And he developed a fondness for me over time, and he gave me more and more responsibility. After about a year, he gave me 2 bands to manage. One was a British act that had been so horribly scorned in the UK that they came here to try again. And one was an act from Anaheim that had been together for 10 years and had never really impacted in the marketplace. Well, about a month after I started managing them, each act shipped singles to radio that were so impactful that within 6 months they went from playing at obscure clubs in Hollywood to selling out arenas globally. Those 2 acts were Bush and No Doubt. I don't know if any of you have heard of Bush, but everyone has heard of No Doubt. Obviously, I had nothing to do with the success of these acts, but I was assigned all the credit, and I was compensated proportionally. That made it very difficult for me to continue on a path to psychiatry. It was difficult enough to stay in school because I was working 60 hours a week. But I decided at about that time that that was going to be the trajectory of my career and that that's what I was going to focus on. So that's how I started in the music business. Over the years, I had expanded into different formats and different genres, expanded the scope of what my business offered, but I stayed true to the mission of my company. A couple of years ago, I was convinced to grow out into electronic music, and I was a little bit weary because I didn't understand the format. The music wasn't melodic, it wasn't instrument-driven, there weren't any vocals, and it was much more of a culture that is immersed in dangerous drugs. So while I didn't really subscribe, I did acknowledge that it was a very quickly evolving genre and that I needed to be involved. Over the last few years, that genre has exploded, and it has become the most viable part of my business. Quite frankly, it's the most viable part of my business that I've ever had. So a couple months ago, I was offered the opportunity to sell my business to a media conglomerate. I felt that it was the right circumstance, it was the right time, and it was the right offering. So I decided I was going to sell the business. The only thing is that in selling the business, I had to sign a contract that non-compete claused me out of doing almost everything that I know how to do, which is very little to begin with. So I decided that I was going to embark on a new chapter of my life. I planned on getting married, and I decided that I was going to open a bakery, which I am doing in Westlake Village, called A Few of My Favorite Things. I'm doing that because I love carrot cake, but I hate raisins, and I can't find carrot cake without raisins. But I do like chocolate chips, so I felt like it would be interesting to put chocolate chips in carrot cake and sell it that way. But in order to do that, I needed to have a bakery. So I decided that I was going to open one, and there was not very much competition in Westlake Village, so I decided I was going to open one there. Additionally, I want to go to law school. I had been in law school once before in 1998. I lasted a total of 1 day. I took a class named Torts. There was 315 pages of reading assigned. The last book I had read had been like Stuart Little. And so I didn't think that I was really qualified, so I dropped out after 1 day. But it was something that I had always regretted, and I had always wondered what it would have been like had I completed it. The only thing is I haven't been in class or a classroom in 18 months, so I decided that I needed to take a few classes to recondition myself. That's what I am doing in this class. So hopefully over the next few years, I will be in law school and operating this bakery. Now, presuming that I can graduate from law school, I will be qualified to work in legislation. And I had always aspired to run for public office, but I always felt like I was totally unelectable because of some of the challenges of my past. Well, what I have learned is that in the age of real-time media, virtually everyone is unelectable. So it's really just a matter of providing the right offering to constituents in a given socioeconomic area. Well, there's going to be an opportunity available, a vacancy, for a congressional seat in coastal Orange County in 2018. And my 3 best friends, who were all very politically active, all of whom I met in this class in 1997, have started putting together a program so that I could run for office in 2018. Already started raising money, coming up with a mission statement, developing a support infrastructure. So presuming I can graduate from law school, and I am qualified, that is what I am hoping to accomplish. So I've now given you insight into my past, my present, and my future. My name is Scotty Abrams, and I think that you would agree that my life experience is so expansive and so diverse that it lays out like a graphic novel. Shit, I forgot that in my thesis.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that was 10:06, so this was quite an introduction. Where are we? Here, yeah.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, Eva.
I really liked your stories. I felt really that it absorbed my attention, and I think you're a great storyteller, especially with your hand gestures.
Improvement?
Hi, I'm Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
I think it was really good, but you can cut off some words and also move around the room.
Yeah. Try moving around it a little. Well, you started with the pathway to heaven leads straight through hell, and I thought I was going to, you didn't know who said that, but that's the tone you wanted to set for your speech. I would have liked to have had I want to see you tie back to where you start a little more vividly in the end. Give a better preview thesis on Scotty, and because that gives you your narrative, and it sets an agreement with the audience, and they'll follow you and they'll know what to expect. As I told Scotty, this is if you think about it, this is a very hard speech to do, because we don't want to boast of our vaulting virtues. We don't want to say how great we are, right? And yet we do want to say some good things about ourselves, yet we don't want to sound like we're bragging. And that's, I thought you walked the line fairly well. On your introduction, or your first story into the world of, I guess I'll call it rock and roll, and dating the boss's daughter, and succeeding, and that was all very interesting, and it was like a roller coaster, and you went and segued into electronic music and made allusions to dangerous drugs and things like that. And I'm glad that you didn't go into that and that sort of thing, you know. But the allusion was enough. On the present, what you're doing now, I would like you to have highlighted with your voice. So presently, what's going on with me? I've got a bakery in Westlake Village, and we make, I don't know, some kind of cake, and I like it, and I'm thinking of going back to law school, and some real succinct, more succinct. On your future, again, we want to stress this future. You want to run for Congress. Who holds this seat right now, by the way, this 218 seat?
Eric Nagelberg.
Eric Nagelberg, is he a Democrat or Republican?
He's Republican.
Republican, yeah. So you think the seat is ripe to change, huh?
I'm ambipartisan. I'm not.
So
I'm not a Democrat.
So you're not going to be coming off as a Democrat, okay? Yeah, you had tie back to your introduction, but you really didn't have a tie back to it. But you got the job done, and to watch yourself, watch your gestures, move 3 times, and you'll be more effective. Thank you. Next row. Everyone there has done their film speech? Film speech, yeah. Good.
Hey Scotty, did you get your motorcycle or no?
Yes, but I have not driven it. I've never ridden it.
Yeah, that's another point I wanted to make. When you tell stories, you want to be careful. Screenwriters learn this when they get their scripts critiqued. Not leaving any loose ends. What happened to the motorcycle? Did you get it? Did you crash it? Did your parents disown you? What happened? You know, so we wanted to know more about that. Did you marry the boss's daughter? Was another question I had. Okay, hi. How you doing today? That's good. Can you hand me that red pen? This one's dying. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Chen.
Hi, Chen.
There's no gene for human spirit. There's one quote from the film I want to introduce today. I think it's the best summary of the film. Today I want to share with you a film named Gattaca. And it made me feel happy, made me feel angry, and finally it inspired me. And the film deals with some significant themes I believe you'll be interested in. The whole film was set in the future, when all the things are determined by people's genes, your occupation, your lifetime, or even your marriage. However, our main character, Vincent, who is genetically inferior, doesn't believe his fate and pursues his dream of being an astronaut. Finally, he succeeds. And the first way the movie moved me was that it made me feel funny. The incident the film made me feel funny was when Vincent tried to deceive the blood test machine in his company by using another perfect man in terms of his genes. And he needed to clean his table every day in order not to leave any evidence such as dandruff or hairs to let other people to know his true identity. And the reason that it made me feel funny was that it reminds me of my childhood. When I was in primary or middle school, I always took the time when parents went out to work to play the computer games or watch TV secretly. And to avoid being caught, I need to remember all the positions of the selves and put them back when I finish playing. And I need to estimate the time when they were back so that I can leave enough time for the computer to cool down. And clear carefully history in the computer. When they were back, I would pretend to doing my work all the day. When this happened to me, I was quite nervous, but quite excited when I succeed to deceive somebody. And the second story, and the second way the film moved me was that it made me feel angry. The incident in the film that made me angry was when there was murder happening in the company. And without any evidence, the detective believed that the murderer must be someone who is less than perfect. And finally, the result just showed he was totally wrong. It made me angry because it reminds me of one of my teachers. Just like the detective in the film, she liked to judge people by her first impression. And she always find faults for the students she didn't like. And unfortunately, one of my friends got the wrong side of her. Once, he made the same mistake with a so-called good student. They both loved a girl at the PE class. But when the teacher knew about it, she scolded my friend severely, but believed that the good boy didn't mean to do it. When this happened to me, I was quite angry, but that a teacher could not treat his students alike. And he told us we must treat everyone equally and don't jump to conclusion too fast. And the third way the film moved me was that it inspired me. The incident in the film that made me feel inspired was that when our main character Vincent finally achieved his goal to be an astronaut and travel into the space. And actually, the feeling was not only appear when this incident happened, it was a feeling through the whole film. It inspired me because it reminds me of one of my classmates in my high school. At the first day of my high school, he claimed that he must enter the best university. And at that moment, we all thought he was just a nerd, who would like to talk big, and we don't believe that he will succeed. And in class, he always talked about principles or theories we never heard about, and like the Sheldon and the Big Bang Theory. And she joined some competition, and he all failed. So we all laughed at him, and we thought he was just a dream about it. He never will succeed. But finally, now, he is studying in his favorite major in one of the top universities. And who knows what happened to him in the future. And it really inspired me because I think I need to learn from him that never let other people stop our dream, even our family members or even someone we love. So, as I mentioned, there's no doubt that the film really moved me. And just as mentioned about at the first, there's no gene for human spirit, and there's no gene for human's fate. Use another sentence from the film. They have got you looking so hard for the flaw, so after a while, that's all that you see. Don't always think what is impossible. Think what is possible, and follow our heart and follow our dream. Even though we do not succeed, I think we will be far better than the one who don't dare to have a try. So that's what I want to share with you today.
Great, thank you. 5:33. Here.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
I think you did really, really well. I think you followed the prompt very effectively, and it was easy to follow and it was persuasive. So good job.
There wasn't too much plot summary, so he got through a lot more in this time allocation. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Teddy.
Hi, Teddy.
I thought you did really well. The only thing I maybe mentioned was, I think at the beginning, maybe towards the middle, you were kind of swaying back and forth and maybe moving around a little bit just in place. That's the only thing I would try and take out.
Jan, if you can walk 3 times, it will relax you. Over here for your first way of the film, moving over here for the second, and then back to the center for the third way. I loved your first story of cheating your parents and tricking them into thinking you were studying hard all day. That was good. I'm sure they suspected something, but because people aren't as stupid as we hoped they would be. But that was a good story, well told. On your second story about the teacher that found fault and criticized, I guess, a friend, and you didn't think that was fair, that they should all be treated equally, I thought that the point of the story wasn't exactly that clear, but at least you had a story, so that was okay. On Inspired, you talk about a friend that people laughed at because he talked about the Big Bang Theory and other things, and he fell flat on his face a few times, and now he's at Harvard, and the rest of us are here at UCLA slaving away. And that was a good story, and you had a little moral at the end for why it worked out for him, so that was good. Was your reference discrimination down to a science in Nature, was that a film review, or was that a film review in Nature about your film Galactica, or was that just another citation?
Or just a citation for the first sentence. There's no
for the quote,
yeah.
but not for the film review.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you want to have a second one there for the film review next time. Have them both quotes. Okay, you did a nice job. Thank you. Okay, next. Yeah, we're rolling right along. Hi, how you doing? Good. Managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name is Hao Xiang.
Hi, Ho Xiang.
About this film, I want to share with you guys. A famous professor named Ed Hoax has said that it is magic. I hope, according to my speech, you can feel how it is to be a magic. The film's name is Father and Daughter. It is just a short film and about 8 minutes only 8 minutes in length. But this this film does move me. It made me happy, made me sad, and made me think. The first way this film made me or moved me is that the film made me happy. It is in the beginning. The father and his daughter were riding the bicycles together, and they are going to the seaside, and the daughter looks very happy to be with her father. This incident reminded me of my father. I think the students like me are studying abroad and only can go back home about twice a year. And the time we can stay with our parents is also very little. So when I thought about my parents, especially my first time to leave my parents, it is about 2 years ago. It is the first time I leave my parents to go to the university. When I just left my home and arrived at the university, I started to miss my parents and miss the time I spent with my parents, and I kept looking forward to going back to home. The third way the film moved me is that it made me sad, because when the father is leaving his daughter, he kissed his daughter on the land, and then he going back to the land to hug his daughter again. When he going back to hug his daughter, he looks don't want to leave at all. And this incident reminds me of my first time leaving my parents again. My first time to leave my parents, I needed to take the train to go to another city's airport. At that time, I just think about my exciting university life, and didn't care about my parents' feeling. They insisted to go with me to that city's airport and send me off. But I said to them, I'm okay on my own, and no need to go with me. And finally, they insisted to go with me to see me off. I think now I can understand their feelings. Because I had stayed with them for about 17 years. It will also be a little bit hard for them to adjust to a new life without me. The second way this film moved me is that it made me think. From the beginning, the father left his daughter to the daughter kept coming back and back to looking for his father, and finally the daughter finds his father, and they hugging with each other. This film is talked about the love and the life. The life is just like a circle. From the birth to the death, it comes again and again. But for the love, it is ageless. It never changed. Just like the daughter in the film, after his father left, he kept coming back and back to looking for his father, and never stopped, never gave up. until she is very old. Also, his father, when he is coming back to hug his daughter, there is no word, there is only the hug, but we still can feel his love from that hug. So I have shown you the three ways that the film moved me. It made me happy, made me sad, and made me think. And at last, I want to say it is a magic. A short film only 8 minutes in length, but it does tell us many things. The love, the life. In our view, it is both of them are very common things. But in this film, the love never leaves and the life never stops. Thank you.
Thank you. 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Tell me if the light here on this board makes the picture look better.
Okay. Not really.
Doesn't change it. Okay. Where are we here? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi. I really liked your speech, and especially how you started saying how, like your quote about the medic. And I think the only thing you could improve on is just make it a little bit shorter, but it was really good. And
Yeah.
Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi. I really liked how we got to know you a little bit better through your speech, through your stories. And I would just work on to divide it up a little bit, making sure you make the 3 movements.
Okay, good. Shang, I liked your speech. I would have liked to have had it been a little shorter than 6:30, so time it next time and keep it down to 4 or 5 at the longest, okay? And so cut some things out, mainly plot summary. I would say work on your pronunciation, your diction, so you're clear, so you speak clear. Let's talk about your stories. You talked about leaving home and your parents wanting to see you off to the airport and missing you and that sort of thing. And you related it to what happened in the short film that you were talking about. And that was good. And you admitted that you at the time were more concerned with your own feelings than your parents' feelings. And you said, no, you don't have to come. And I'll tell you, it's a very difficult thing. When I drove my daughter to college, after I left her, I cried like a baby. It was difficult. It was heartbreaking to me. I was just so anxious about it. And so you have to have empathy for your parents when they're sending you off to school. My problem with your third story on it made you think. You gave a long plot summary, but very little story of your own. No story of your own. And so I needed to have a story from you that related to that. That would have been more effective. So overall, Ho Shang, you did a nice job. Thank you. They just keep volunteering. Excellent. Hi, how you doing?
Fine.
That's good.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. When I mentioned zombie movie.
Start with your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wang. You can call me Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. When I mentioned zombie movie, what's the most impressive thing in your mind? Maybe the horror face, maybe the skin, or maybe the flesh. But today, the movie I want to share with you is not an ordinary zombie movie. It's just a hilarious zombie comedy. It's called Shaun of the Dead. And so we can call it a zombie. And so, because this movie really moved me because it made me angry, it made me shocked, and it made me alert. First, I want to share is about the beginning. At the beginning of this story, the main character is Shaun, and he is just a loser. He just every day he married in his dead end job and managing electronic stores, and he sometimes he screw up his appointment with his girlfriend Liz, and then he maybe broke up, and then sometimes he just screw up some appointment with his mother, and all of they are terrible. But one day suddenly the zombie comes and everything changed, and his life become worse. And this remind me of some of my days. And when I was about 2 years ago, I first came to Singapore and beginning my bridging course. I think it's the terrible days of my life. That's the 2 months, and I have no idea about other things I'm not familiar with. So I just a kind of escapist and try to play computer games and draw in the imaginary worlds. And those days are terrible, but I think after I screwed up one of my favorite course was chemistry, but now it's not because it's very hard. And so I return to the good mode, and every day becomes in the right way. And but in the movie you can see that Sean is such a slacker, and he screwed up everything and didn't pay attention to his life, to his relationship, and to his family. So I think I need to. That made me angry, because even myself in that days made me angry when I remind those days. And the second story is about when the disaster comes, everything is screwed up, and Sean and his family and his girlfriend, they try to hide in a small pub. This is just Sean's genius method to avoid the zombies attack. They try to run into a pub with his family, but at this time the accident came because Sean's mother was bitten by a zombie, and he will become a zombie soon. So that Sean decided to kill his mother or not. But all his friends suggest him to kill his mother, and after his long decision, he finally kills his mother. Although he has a problem with his mother about his stepfather, but he finally, and he did the wrong. I think he did the right decision. But I think it's very tough to kill his own mother. And it reminds me of a story of my grandpa, but I didn't kill him because it's just about my grandpa's death. I was brought up by my grandparents before 5 years old, and it's just about 1.5 years ago my grandpa got a cancer in his stomach, and about 1 year later, and he died. It's just a few days after the most important festival to Chinese, the Spring Festival, and my mom, because I was currently in Singapore, so my mother didn't tell me about the truth, and it made me very sad and shocked, because my cousin told me, and because they are not supposed to tell me, but I found this fact from some of his social networks, but it made me very shocked. And the last story is about the end. At the end of the movie, the disaster is passed by, the army killed all the zombies for about 6 months, and everything returned back. And also Sean, the main character, returned to his daily mode. He just drank and hung out with his best pal, and everything is now changed, although there is a disaster in this story. I think maybe you may be curious about this story, because some of the Hollywood movies are just like the main character kill the disasters, they kill the enemies, and they become a real man, a big man. But this story is totally different. Everything is different. It's just like people, something will change people, but something will not change people. And somebody will not be changed, even if there is something very important. And this reminds me of some story of my childhood. I used to have a plan for my daily life, for my study, and for my practice. And sometimes I got bored about this plan, because sometimes it's very tired and got exhausted and about something. Sometimes at this time, my father will stand up and sometimes beat me and tell me something that what I should do, what I should not do, that make me. You know that sometimes life is not what you want, what you like, what you hope. You need to do is to find out the way you want to stay. Otherwise, you're just like a zombie. In this movie, when the disaster hasn't took place, everything is just like normal. Sean is like just they hungover every day, and that makes it that it's just like a zombie. He just every day he just like moving this way. But when the disaster took place, the zombie, the so-called zombie, Sean, he's just like act as a normal one, but everyone act like a zombie. So that's inspire me that no matter there is a disaster or not, there's still some zombie in the world. In summary, I think that what we should do is to take care of ourselves and figure out what we should do, what we should not do, and don't live in a zombie-like lifestyle. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That was 7:12. Okay. Hi.
Hi, I'm Lily.
Hi, Lily.
In your speech is clear and I got your point, but it would be better if you can tell more about your own emotion. Thank you.
Yeah, your own emotion, your own story, instead of the plot of the movie. That's what took so long. And you'll notice, Brian, that I've been telling other people, cut down your plot summary and tell more of your story. And so make those corrections, learn from others, see? One more person?
Hi, I'm Vicky.
Hi, Vicky or Mickey?
Vicky.
Vicky, hi Vicky.
I like your story very much, and I think your introduction is very interesting, and maybe you should have more inner contact for others.
Yeah. You started with a mention of a zombie movie, and I would have liked you to have tied back to that in the end. That's the first thing. Your thesis preview was okay. You skipped over your significant statement of selling it to the audience, why it's important to them, so make sure you put that in. On your stories, you talked about the video games that you felt angry about and that you were playing too much and that you wanted to change, and that was okay. On the second story, the plot summary was much too long, but it was a good story about your grandfather dying of stomach cancer. What we, as she suggested, what we didn't get was your feeling so much. Remember, we want to have emotions to make our stories sticky, right? And so tell us, I was angry at my mother and father for not telling me. I was pissed off that I had to find out from my cousin or whatever, however you found out, see? Then on your third story was you spent too much time on the plot again, and then talked about your father telling you you'd become a little bit zombie-like and lazy and not working hard enough. When you got down to the summary, and I thought you were going to summarize, conclude, and tie back and have those sections. And that would have been 3 ways to film a movie. It made me angry, shocked, and reflective. Conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that this anti-hero film really moved me, and then tie back to the zombie film. Your bibliography was fine. Just more emotions and work on your timing so you're down around 4 minutes, okay? Thank you, Brian. Hi, how you doing? That's good.
Hi, I'm Vicky, and...
Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Vicky. Hi.
Is it Vicky?
Yeah.
Oh, Vicky. Hi, Vicky.
While I was in high school, I read a lot of books about happiness. And I also still remember the motto of the American President Roosevelt said that Happiness is not merely in possession of money, but it also draws light of such as some achievement and the thriller of some creative effect. So, fortunately, one day I saw a movie about happiness. The name is called The Pursuit of Happiness. In this movie, it provides us the new perspective to know about what's the true meanings of the happiness and why people will pursue of the happiness. So today I want to show us a movie about the pursuit of the happiness. So maybe I still remember Thomas Jefferson said that the pursuit of happiness, the right to life, and the right to liberty. So this also reflects the themes of these movies. The first way this movie really moved me is that when I saw Charles entered into the financial company and put him all effort to become the professional investor because he has stronger interest about that. So the reason that this movie really made me feel diligent is because that it reminded me of when I was graduate from high school. I will make a big decision to select my major before I enter university. So in that time I was very younger, and I also have strong interest about law. So I chose media law as my major. But in that time, my parents think that this major is not suitable for girls. It's so tired, and you will do lots of things to study about that. It's so tired for that. But at last, I still insisted on my decision because I have strong interest about that. So I will do everything about that because I'm strongly interested about that. And the second way this movie really moved me is that it made me feel happy. When in this film, I see that Choice shows their ability and a talent to other person to purchase more products to other person, and will own some more commitment to other person. So the reason this incident made me feel happy because it reminds me of when I was 5 years old, my parents will send me to have piano lessons 3 times a week. So maybe that time I think it's very hard, and it will occupy my spare time with other friends. So I'm not willing to do that. But with my parents' persuade, I insisted on playing the pianos about 10 years. So when I was 15 years old, I entered the school talent competition show. So to my surprise, I was so nervous about that. It was first time to perform the piano at the stage. So to my surprise, I won the first prize of this competition, and in this I feel very happy about that. So the third way this movie really moved me is that made me feel very satisfied. When I saw Charles also do some basic work such as order some meals for their staff and deliver some letters for their boss. So it's so basic things. Maybe he sometimes think that I can do more valuable things rather than these basic things. So the reason this film made me feel satisfied, that it reminded me of when I have internship work in the law firm, my boss always let me to do some basic things such as make some records and fill up some papers. It's just do that, so basic I think. I'm also complaining about that, but actually I also have done mistakes to do that and feel very guilty about that. So from that, maybe I think you maybe do some basic things before you do some valuable things. It's very basic and fundamental of the success. So in summary, I have told you about the 3 feelings about I learned from these movies. It made me feel diligent, it made me feel happy, and it also made me feel satisfied. So in summary, maybe I think the true meaning of the pursuit of the happiness is just what you want, is just to do what you want to do. The dream, one day maybe your dream will come true, and the pursuit of the happiness is come true. Thank you.
Good. 4:45, so that was shorter, better.
Hi, I'm Hao Hao.
What's your name? Hi, Hao Hao.
I like your speech. I think it's pretty clear and you have a well-structured outline. Even I don't have outline in my head, I can see like how you organize your speech. I think that's good.
I want us to get this outline in our head. That's why I use it for all 7 speeches, because I want you to tell stories in that way, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yes, please. Improvement. Start with your name.
Hello, I'm Chen.
Hi, Chen.
You did a nice job, but I think you were a bit solid. You better move a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you stood in one place, Vicky. Let me talk about your speech. Your setup in the beginning was good. I praise the Lord you didn't give a lot of plot summary. You just zipped through it, and that was good. I think your significance statement could have been a little better, more elaborate, selling it more to the audience, and I would have liked to have seen your film quote in your significance statement. I know you had Thomas Jefferson there that you were quoting, but and that'll probably get you in trouble in China, but I think that some film quote that you agree or disagree with will be better. Now, on the first story that you told, you talked about graduated from high school and having to choose a major, and this is sort of the first time you had to assert your independence from your parents, and you wanted to be a media major, and your parents said that's not suitable for girls. And then you had to insist that it was your life, so that was a good story that you told. Your second story on trust and commitment. I got the story that they made you study piano and you kind of hated it, but then you won a competition, so then you thought it was okay. I didn't quite get the link to the movie, but it was a good, interesting story nonetheless. It was a good story, a self-revelation of something that happened to you in your life, so that was good. On the third story of satisfied, you didn't like your boss making you do Xerox and make us coffee and stuff like that, and that's demeaning, and you're rightfully so, but you also pointed out that you made mistakes. And because you weren't taking your job seriously, you weren't treating it like this was the last job you'd had. And there's a great video that they have a tradition here where a professor that's retiring gives what's called his last lecture. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. And one of the things that he said, that this last professor that did it from the music school, said that he treated every job as if it was going to be his last, and he tried to do really great work everywhere he went. And he said as a result of that, he never applied for another job. People just came to him and said, "You want to work over here?" And then he went on and on and on. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all fine. So you did a nice job, and you got it within good time limits, so that was good. Thank you. Is that it? Is that everyone? Has everyone done their film speech?
I need to do mine.
So, what? Film speech. Okay, yeah. Well, you're on recorder, so let's get somebody that's not been recorded. Have you been recorded? Okay, here, let's get you recorded. Can you take this over? Thanks. Don't hit that red button.
Hi, I'm Marie.
Can I have your outline? Is this it?
It's that one.
Great.
So I want to begin with a notion that drove a director's journey. He said, there is no such thing as the I. That is an illusion that we've got to get beyond. I want to share with you a movie that really moved me called I Am.
This is a movie that made me feel reflective, it made me feel adventurous, and it made me feel compassionate. I completely agree with one of the reviews written by John Hartle from the Seattle Times that said, "I Am is a positive and expansive experience." This is a movie that we can all relate to, down to the most fundamental level. It is about the interconnectivity of the natural world, how you and I, how we were all created to live together in unison. So first, I want to explain how this film made me feel reflective. The part that made me reflect was when the director, was when the director got into a bicycle accident and was diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome and clinical depression. Welcoming death, he began to reflect and think of the purpose of life and what had he really done to make a difference in somebody else's life. It made me also think about what had I done, what really made me happy. And one other time I felt this way was when my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, which is white blood cell cancer, last spring break. It broke my heart, it made me angry, and it made me ask countless questions that I know I'll never get the answer to. But one thing it also did was it made me find clarity in the fact that I know I'm not alone, and it made me realize that happiness really comes from within. So I would like to share also, even though this is an ongoing story, my mom finished her last of 6 chemo treatments last Friday, and in the beginning of August I'll be able to go home and spend an entire month with her in the hospital for her stem cell transplant. But overall, it's going in a great direction. And continuing on a positive note, second, I would like to share how this film made me feel adventurous. The part that made me feel adventurous was when the director was completely cured of all his symptoms and he decided to travel around the world, engaging with educators and writers, like trying to find out the fundamental reason why we have so many issues in the world, such as poverty and famine and terrorism. And this reminded me of a time that made me feel adventurous last summer when I got to study abroad. And I wasn't necessarily searching for the meaning of life, but me and my friends ended up meeting another group of students in Bologna, Italy, and they decided to take us around and show us the best places to eat, the cheapest food, and it was